welcome to the 98% Podcast. We hear real stories from real people, and we're here with another special episode of Welcome to the Hot Seat. And I have Nate here, and he was on a previous episode, so we're bringing him back. So real quick, Nate, do you want to talk high level? Just tell us who you are.
I certainly will. Yeah, my name is Nate Otto, Nathan Otto. Most people call me Nate. I'm from Lake of the Ozarks, Missouri, and I've been here since high school. And I am, I don't want to say entrepreneur. I own a company called Works here, and I've been doing that for a couple of years, but I've been out on my own and self-employed for a while now. And, just learning how to traverse the entrepreneurial world. It's tough. It's always a learning experience and everything too. And I'm still learning. You learn something new every day. And it's a fun market out here in the vacation, capital of Missouri, if you ask me. And I also am married, have a beautiful wife named Amy and 5 kids as well. So we stay busy, and yeah, that's a little bit about me.
5 kids. I always forget you have 5 kids.
I know. I do too. Like, oh wait,
do you? Nice, dude. Okay, cool. This is gonna be fun because for the viewers out there, the last time we did this, we actually had your brother on too. So we had me, you, and Adam. So this is the first time. It's just gonna be you and I this time. So
yeah.
So
and that's fine. That's fine. I don't need to do everything with my brother. Shoot.
That's fair. I think we had to do it in order to get him to do it. I think we had to team up. Isn't that how it went?
That is exactly how it went. Don't let him watch this episode,
Okay, yeah. Fair. Okay. So for those of you tuning in, if this is your first episode you're tuning into, this is kind of a special episode where, like I said, we do the hot seat. And what we do is we bring returning guests back, and I create 4 questions for Nate. Nate creates 4 questions for me. And we have no idea what these questions are, and we'll just go back and forth sharing it. And hopefully we can find some fun topics to connect on. So are you ready, Nate?
I'm ready. I'm ready when you are.
Okay, sweet. Okay, so first question, and I like to do these in themes. So I always pick like a theme that something that I know about you. So this one's going to be about conspiracies.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so I want to start off with a good one. Okay, so what's a conspiracy theory you actually think might be true, and what convinced you?
So I actually have a good answer for this question. I've got lots of conspiracy theories that I believe in. Like one of the older ones I used to really prescribe to is like the ancient alien theory. And I won't go too in depth with that because you can talk about that forever. But I kind of have been prescribing to this new Earth conspiracy theory, which I guess would be the best way to put it. It's not necessarily a conspiracy, but it basically states that the world and the universe isn't billions of years old, that it's only, say, it's younger, say maybe 12,000 years old, and that everything in the Bible is all true accounts that you can use science to archaeologically, document and understand. And the conspiracy aspect of it is that mainstream science tends to try to suffocate the findings that contradict the paradigm of thought. And, that's where the conspiracy lies there. So it's things like dinosaurs were real, and dinosaurs didn't exist 200 million years ago. Maybe they existed 8,000 years ago or something of that nature. And, it's, again, a subject that I could probably get more in depth with more questioning on it. But, as it pertains to some of the evidence, to answer the second part of that question, would be just biblical archaeological finds, like the oldest document or the oldest documentation of written history that we have is a collection of books in the Bible, or, if you are in other religions, like the Quran and things along those lines. And, these are historical documents that talk about things that people truly believed happened. And, so there's a niche group of archaeologists that go out to try to figure out where these things happen. Like in the Bible, things like Sodom and Gomorrah, the flood, Noah's flood, and what's another example? There's many more, and let's figure out what happened. And another thing with Noah is, when he parted the Red Sea, that's always a point of controversy when it comes to the archaeological scientific community. But there's people that have gone out there and found these things, like there's a specific bay out in the Red Sea with a bunch of Egyptian chariots that are at the bottom of the Red Sea, and there's dozens and dozens of them down there. But I'll bet you've never heard that before, even though it's very well documented and it's been suppressed. And the guy who found it and came up with the idea, like, well, maybe this is Pharaoh's army that was chasing Moses through the parting of the Red Sea that collapsed on him. Maybe this is Pharaoh's army down here. And everybody's like, no, that doesn't match up with, how we believe things happen and how things work. And so he got discredited and shunned. And, that's just one small example.
Okay. I like it.
Pretty
Okay.
cool, isn't it?
That is a good one. I didn't expect that's where you're going to go with this. Okay. Cool. I dig it. Okay. So what's your first question for me?
All right. So for you, I'm going to take a different route. I'm gonna give you 3 questions that are a little bit deeper. They're not technically surface level, and they're gonna get progressively deeper. And they don't really pertain to a certain subject, more about you individually as a person, with the audience and everything. I feel like some people might want to hear how you or, other people think about these types of questions, type of thing. If you're open to answering that type of stuff, I'm not gonna give you surface level questions. And so my first one is, when was a moment that you realized you couldn't blame your past anymore? These are 2-part questions. And what did you do from that point?
Okay. Couldn't blame my past. Kind of that's a funny topic. So, I need to think back because I'm one of those people that I rarely blame anything for. Like, I don't think I hold my past against me to a certain extent. Like, I've met plenty of people that are like, oh, my parents did this, and that's why I'm here. And they kind of share that information. It's like, I don't think I've ever blamed my parents or anything for my current state of being. And that could be good or that could be bad. I mean, at the same time, I tend to put the blame on myself on most things, even when probably I shouldn't. But
that's kind of an answer there.
That is, yeah, exactly. Okay, so can you repeat it one more time?
All right. When was a moment you realized you couldn't blame your past anymore, and what did you do from there?
Let's see. Okay, so I'd say probably the most difficult thing I remember as far as that goes, because like I said, I don't do it often, but I mean, my divorce, I'm sure I blamed my past and how I showed up. So if that kind of answers the first part of that question,
it does. I mean, yeah.
I put a ton of blame on myself on it, and it was tricky too because, and I'm not gonna go into the details of it or anything, but it was pretty easy for me to get convinced that it was me in a lot of areas. And like I said, I probably put too much on myself, more than I should have. And it wasn't until a couple of years, a year or two after, when I started, which I was going through therapy the whole time. There's just kind of like an eye-opening moment. And it was actually during couples counseling where I just started realizing that a lot of the stuff I pinned against myself actually wasn't mine in the first place. It was like, oh, snap. Okay, well, that's good to know. So I guess some of it was trying to, I think, self-assess and be able to step back and observe, I guess, what the reality of the situation was. And I was doing something the other day, actually. I was listening, or what was I doing? I was doing something, and it was talking about if I put the blame on myself, it gives me a sense of control. And it was kind of a weird way to look at that. And because I was thinking, what was it? I was doing something. I can't remember what I was doing. But some situation happened, and I started like just going down a rabbit hole. And I was actually using Chat GPT for some of this stuff, actually.
Chat GPT sometimes tries to be a therapist too. I don't know if you've ever noticed
Oh,
that.
I've noticed it. I've noticed it. I've noticed it. And I know you can't believe everything it says, and that's
No,
absolutely for sure. But it did have a good point that when I was thinking about, I can't remember what I put. I put something in there, but yeah, it kind of shifted that, and I was like, that's kind of interesting. I never thought about like, I guess putting the blame on me or saying that it's my fault in a situation that it was could be a sense of control, which is kind of interesting. And but yeah, I don't know. Did that even answer your question?
yeah, I mean, I would say it did. You know,
Okay.
I guess it was kind of intended to be like a icebreaker because, you know, there's other things like growing up, even as kids, you know, you have these insecurities and you attach to these insecurities, right?
Uh-huh.
And you identify with these insecurities. You know, that's what you, at least that's what on a more surface level, what you might be blaming your past on. And then you do have this point of, most people, you know, you have this point of clarity, like you're saying, with therapy
Uh-huh.
and everything. You're like, okay, well, now I've noticed that it doesn't have to necessarily be one specific traumatic situation or anything, but you know, I've been you know, blaming my past or pretending like I am a person that I'm not because of who I've been. And now I realize that, and I'm gonna move forward in this manner. And I think you answered that in a little roundabout way. Yeah.
I was trying to figure out the question. That makes more sense now that you're explaining it. Yeah, I don't know, but that's about as good as I got, I think, on that one.
I like it. I like it. I like
Okay,
it.
sweet. Okay, let's see. Next question for you. This is about sports. So what has sports taught you about winning and losing that directly applies to life?
It isn't what sports taught me isn't about winning and losing. What sports taught me was about preparation and consistency, which either which creates a win or a loss. And so, you know, I guess it is about winning and losing. But one thing I learned about sports growing up was how much effort and time and consistency it takes to achieve a certain goal. You know, this is what you want to do. I want to start on the basketball team. I want to be the fastest 100-yard dash. I want to jump over the highest bar in high jump. And you don't just run up there and run the fastest 100-yard dash, you know, against everybody in district somewhere. You know, you have to practice and practice and practice and train yourself to be capable of doing that. And not only once you achieve that goal, you have to be consistent after that. Otherwise, you've just achieved a goal and then regressed back to where you were before. And you know, sometimes you put all that practice in, sometimes you put all that consistency in and you still lose. And I guess there is something to be said about that because that type of thing can defeat people and make people want to quit. But when you're focused on your goals and focused on achieving your goals, aka winning, you know, that those little losses here and there are just a little drop in the bucket, and you're just going to continue achieving and practicing and being better at your craft in order to continue bringing those wins in and growing as a person.
I like that. So why do you think, because I've seen it happen too, even on like really high level, why do you think some people quit when they lose?
You know, I think it could be I think it could be several things, you know, and everybody probably does it for different reasons, right? You know,
Mhm.
like maybe they've been defeated and publicly shamed and they're embarrassed. And
Mhm.
then they go into hiding for a period of time before they slap themselves in the face like, what are you doing, stupid? And, you know, maybe they just come to a realization that they're just not as capable as they once were. And so, you know, they're hard on themselves for that manner. And, you know, that's that's a good question. There's many different answers to it though, I think, because everybody's going to quit for different reasons, but I guess the funny thing about quitting, because I've quit in my life too. Like I said, I've been a business owner for 5 years now, and after 3 years, it got too hard and it got overwhelming, and I did quit. And that was one of the reasons why I quit. It's not sports, but I was overwhelmed and didn't feel like I was achieving at the rate that I was supposed to be achieving. And so I regressed back into just, hourly wages and, normal mundane life, and was even more unhappy there. I spent less than a year in that place before I slapped myself in the face like, dude, what are you doing? And got back on the train and, started Pro Deck Works and, back to winning. And so I guess people can quit, but does that mean that they're going to stay quitting or quitted, or what would be the term for it? And so, I mean, everybody could quit for very different reasons, multiple reasons.
Yeah, I like it.
What do you think? Why do you think people quit?
I don't know. I'd say what pops in my head as I'm thinking about it is I think sometimes, because I've seen it happen on like really high levels, and I think about the people that have been like undefeated, or I wouldn't say not tested, but I think some people have natural gifts that get them so far and they're not used to losing. So the minute they lose, it tends to be almost like it almost hits harder than someone who maybe has lost frequently and continued to improve because they lost at the lowest levels and kept losing and going forward. So I don't know. I'm sure that's not the only reason, like you said. I think there's lots of reasons why, but that's kind of the first reason that popped in my head is I think it's just when you lose a lot, I think you gain resilience. And when you don't, you haven't seen that side, especially on a high level, I could see that really impacting you pretty hard.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Actually, didn't even consider that.
Yeah.
I didn't, because I haven't been that guy.
Yeah.
But you do see that from time to time. They're just all they do is win, and they get met with a loss. And I guess they don't necessarily quit, even like professional athletes, but they definitely regress. And they're the number one pick in the draft in whatever sport, and they experience loss and just don't bounce back. They just
Uh-huh.
stay there and never ever recover from it. Yeah, that's a very good point.
Yeah. Okay. What's your next question for me?
Very true. All right, second question. What's a fear you have right now that most people wouldn't expect? And
Mm,
what are you doing about it?
okay. Um, so let's see. It's a good one. The one that pops in my head right away, if I'm answering off the cuff, is fear of being alone. I think I've had that. I don't know if I've had that my whole life. And it's funny because like since I've been divorced, I mean I've been alone, but I also don't function as well when I'm alone, if that makes sense. Usually I get in my feels a lot at nighttime when I don't have my daughter here and it's just me. Um, and then thinking about, trying to find another partner. It's been 4.5, almost 5 years since my divorce and ebbs and flows, meet some great people. We hit it off for a while, then it just doesn't work out. And yeah, I guess that's one of the few fears I have, really. I don't feel like I have a ton, but that's definitely one that kind of creeps in is that thought and thinking that it's going to be, like, am I going to be like alone forever? And clearly that's not true, right? Because it's like I have friends, I have my daughter, I have all these people, but it's like, it's that certain element of the relationship. It's like that romantic relationship, thinking about that specific part, which, have to remind yourself, like, I have tons of people that care about me, that love me and stuff like that. But it's,
Right.
I think it's just that longing I've ever had since I was a kid about having that, like, a wife, having that, that person with me. And, I had it for 12 years and then, divorce happened and it just wasn't what I wanted or what I was expecting. So that's, I'd say a fear that definitely creeps in from time to time.
Yep, I call that companionship. Everybody wants companionship.
Uh-huh.
And like you're saying, romantic is totally different
It is.
than friendship. Like,
Mhm.
yes, your friends are your companions, but your romantic partner is there all of the time, just
Uh-huh.
period. They're there when you wake up, they're there when you come home, and that type of companionship is totally different. Totally get it. Now, what are you doing about it then?
Oh yeah, I forgot the second part of the question. I mean, first part was I think was realizing it first, because there were plenty of times where I was like, "No, I'm alone all the time. I do things alone. It's no big deal." But then actually sitting with it and being like, "Okay, well, let's just observe what's going on," and then noticing that you get in your feels. You tend to get in your feels frequently, so it's like, okay, cool. So then I guess what I'm doing with it is just trying to. I mean, dating. I'm trying to find that person and continuing to be, I guess, you know, find alone, being stronger, whatever. I'm just trying to learn little bits at a time, I guess, and we'll see. So I try to be as hopeful as I can.
That's all you can do, right?
Exactly. Yeah,
It all happens in God's time too. Love happens when you least expect it.
that's true. I believe that. Okay, you ready for your third question?
I'm ready.
Okay, so this one's about mission and purpose.
Oh, okay.
So, if someone watched your life from the outside, what do you think they'd say your mission is, even if you've never said it out loud?
Well, first of all, if they watch me from the outside, they'd be like, "Holy cow, this dude is just pure chaos." because
Yeah.
because that's a from an observational standpoint, it's chaotic. But I think even people from the outside would absolutely notice that I truly care about the people around me, and I want to build the people around me. It revolves around me, going through the struggles that I've gone through in life with, addiction and divorce and, several things, and just trying to champion my way through it. And I don't, I know how I felt in those situations, and I don't want other people to feel the same way. And so if I ever notice things like that, I'm generally standing there trying to help them in some type of manner. And I think a lot of people notice that. And even in business, it's about truth and integrity and taking care of people and the community. And I know that people would be capable of seeing that in the way that I work and the way that I act and the way that I communicate and everything as well with everybody around me.
Okay. So I believe all of that, but I really want to go back to what you said about chaos. So why would people think chaos from the outside?
Well, because I do like three different jobs on a daily basis,
Yeah.
and it's chaotic even in my brain. And it'd be like, well, like today I was actually working and hanging soffit and doing things for 2 hours. And then I was doing sales and meeting with customers for 2 hours, and then trying to run materials and do stuff in a superintendent fashion for 2 hours. And it's, like, so if you
Yeah.
follow that schedule around, they'd be like, well, what exactly does he do? Because he spends a little bit of time on everything. Like he's just got ADHD and doesn't know what to focus on, which is also might be true a little bit.
Okay. Okay, cool. I'm glad you answered that part. I just thought that was fun.
It
Okay.
is chaotic. I mean, it's just the nature of, operating a business. You're just a busy guy. You're just a busy person.
Yeah, makes sense. Okay, so what's your third question for me?
Number 3 is, if everything you built disappeared tomorrow, who are you at your core and what do you do from there?
Um, if I lost everything I built.
Yep. So you've been broken down to nothing, to the point
Mhm.
that you're dealing with the trauma of losing everything, but you have to focus on your true core. Who is that, and what is he doing?
If I lost everything, let's see. Could take a couple roads on this. So let's see. And maybe I'll give you a couple different answers.
That's fine with me.
So let's see. So if I lost everything, I would say I would like to think that that I would be okay at least building everything back up. So because I don't feel like I'm super attached to anything that I do necessarily. And I've got good people I know in my life, unless we're also talking about everything like losing everybody too. But I assume you're talking about just uh, resources, house, things like that. Is that what you're kind of talking about?
Well, yes, occupation
Yeah. Okay.
and everything,
Yeah.
like yes, if
Yeah.
you it's a common question. You lose
Yeah.
everything, you're left with nothing. Where do you go from there?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'd say I would build it back up. It's funny because I feel like that's happened to me in small stints, not everything. Divorce was a good example. Also, being laid off from my job that I was at for 16 years, I think was a good example too. Is it was just kind of like stuff just kind of got swept out from under me, and I had no idea. Like it was just total shock. So I'm like, okay, now what do I do? Um, and I mean, first it was very stressful. I can say that just sitting there and thinking, okay, well, I have money, but when it runs out because I don't have a job, that was causing me a little stress. Um, and then thinking about obviously the relationship stuff, that was a big stressor. But I still think at my core, I liked. I mean, I don't know. I don't mind building things back up. So
And so, would you take the same direction, or would you pivot in any manner?
I don't know. I don't know. That's a good question. I'd say I would probably continue to do the things that I started to do. So, for instance, if everything failed, I would still probably find ways to connect with people either through a podcast or whatever. Say the podcast got torn down, I'd have to start it over, and that's fine. As far as occupation, I do like training people. I mean, I went straight from Nike to a chemical manufacturer. That's total opposite, but it's like, but it's training. It's like I'm doing the same thing, just in a different environment.
Different
So, like,
industry, yeah.
would I follow like the chemical industry? No. If I lost that job, I would figure something out. Maybe I'd do something on my own and do entrepreneurship. Maybe at that point in my life, maybe if I lost everything, I wouldn't want to start everything over from scratch. So maybe I would find something with a little more security, at least until I start bouncing back. But yeah, I mean, as far as the trajectory, I'd say I would probably follow something similar. I just don't know exactly what. Um, yeah, I think that's probably fair.
Fair. And, with the podcast and everything, you're trying to create an environment or an audience or a group of people that can relate with each other. And, you're doing a great job at it too, by the way. And, so I guess that's a characteristic about you, right? If you're left with nothing, you're still going to try and probably bring people together around something in some
Yeah,
certain cause or something like that. That's one thing that I can see about you from the outside, and I could be wrong, but that's one thing that I've observed from you.
that's a fair assumption. I'm glad you said that because that's actually yeah. Anything I do, I always try to find a way. Like, let's get people together. Let's hang out. Let's do something. Let's whatever it might be. So it doesn't matter if I have nothing or if I have everything. I think it's still going to be kind of my mindset is just to get people together. Now, I might be more quiet if I'm going through a lot of struggles because there
Yeah,
might be a lot going on up here, but I'll still hang out with anybody any day and try to at least make the most of it because I think connecting with people is one of the most important things I think in the world, at least for me. So yeah, I don't want to take any of those moments for granted because yeah, I guess even if you lost everything, if you still have people around to connect with, I guess it's good enough for me.
you're sure you wouldn't start a full-time career wearing a kilt and throwing around kettlebells and stuff like that?
And dude, I couldn't make a career off of that, but I would still compete. If I had no money, I'd have to ask people, "Hey, can you buy my entry in?" And sure, okay, cool, and I'd go compete. Yeah, dude, that's a blast, man. I totally enjoy
It
that,
looks like a ton of fun.
dude. Hey, you gonna do it sometime?
I would love to come observe. I mean, I guess I could try and compete, but I
Do
mean,
it, dude.
I'm going back and forth with fitness and fatness. I can't decide which way to go.
Well, there's two weight classes. There's under 200 and over 200.
Well, then I'm in the over 200.
Are you over 200? Like how much are you over 200?
I like 225.
You're 225.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah, you can compete in either one of those, but you throw your weights aren't as heavy on some of the events under 200 though.
I'd be the scrawny guy in the upper class. Yeah, that's
I
what
mean,
that
that's the,
sounds like.
I mean, that's what I was. I was 205 competing
Oh,
the
were you?
heavyweights the first two meets because they told me to. The guys, my partner's like, just join the heavyweights and just let's have some fun, just learning. And then, yeah, after on my third meet, they're like, okay, just drop the 5 pounds and start competing lightweight. And I was like, okay. So I did. And so I went from being like the smallest person to the biggest person
Uh-huh.
in the next weight class. Yeah.
And so you get to throw around lighter weights in the lower weight class?
Yeah, only on some events. Some events you do the same weights, but some of them are a little bit lighter. But dude, it's a blast. Like I didn't think I'd like as much as I did. I only did it because I just like saying yes to things, that I've never done before. So he was like, "You should do it." And I was like, "Dude, let's do it. Why not? I don't have anything else to lose." And I showed up, and the first time you can join C class, which means it's like the beginner class, and they'll show you how to do everything as you compete. You got 9 events, and then yeah, dude, I didn't realize how much I missed competition. Just
Yeah, true.
doing yeah. So
Help
dude,
get some of that competitive nature out of you too, go compete for a little bit and then act normal instead of trying to compete everywhere all the time.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Dude, I'll let you know. I'll let you know when the next one is somewhere close to you, and I'll let you know. I mean, it's usually entries only like $25 to maybe 50 max, and you usually get some free T-shirts. I got a whole squad together, so you'll be in good company, and we'll just
I'd
throw some
entertain it.
stuff and
I
do it.
totally would. You might have to teach me a thing or two, but
Yeah, it's a lot of technique, but there's some stuff you'll figure out as you do it. And then if you get hooked, you can show up to practices, and we can practice.
where you guys practice at?
Well, we practiced here last week.
Where's here?
That's in Kansas City. So we have a huge field across the street, and we had 7 of us out there throwing.
Nice.
So, but I mean, we can go down to the lake. I got some weights. We can throw some stuff for fun.
Still got to get in the weight room with each other too, but I don't know that's going to happen anytime soon.
Are you not working out anymore?
No.
Dang.
I'm on a
Okay.
sabbatical, it's only been 3 weeks or something like that.
Nice. Okay. Are we on mine? Is it my question now? My last one for you?
I think so. Yep. You got number
Okay.
4.
Okay. Number 4. So this one is about family. So, what is one trait from your family you're proud to carry forward and one you're intentionally trying to rewrite?
I got 2 of them that I'm proud to carry forward, and one of those is actually one that I want to rewrite.
Mm.
And hopefully Dad doesn't watch this, but the the first one is it revolves around our family's, how do I say it? We're very caring, and we're very very nice, very loving, and we bring everybody in, and we want to take care of people. That's, I was speaking on that earlier in the podcast too, and that's not something that I came up with myself. That's something that I was born into. We just care about people and their well-being, and when we see people in uh un unhappy or unsavory situations, we kind of want to be around to just distract them and give them a place to be happy and spend time, that if they would rather spend time with us than in the poor environments that they're normally around, that's one thing that our family has done for a long time, and we're just so dang happy all the time. And I've definitely gotten that aspect and carried that on. And secondly, just being around Dad, who's a very successful businessman here at the lake. It's, I've been around him all of my adult career, and uh, just in observance and being around him because he's my dad. I've learned invaluable amounts of information and invaluable amounts of work ethic and character and everything from him. And the I use all of that to this day, every single day. And I often remind him on Father's Day about how much he means to me in that aspect too. Like, I'm watching you, and I learn from you and I imitate you in that manner. And so with that would be the thing that I'm trying to change is I would prefer to spend more time with my family. But, it's a slippery slope when it comes to, being a business owner, staying busy, trying to be the entrepreneur and following your goals and achievements. And it takes time, it takes effort, and it distracts you even when you're present. So when you're present with your family, you're totally distracted 95% of the time because you've got other things going on in life that are stressful, hyper important, whether it be financially, occupationally. There's so many things that you sit around and think about, even when you're sitting on the couch with the kids or sitting at the dinner table with the family. And being more present was and is, something that I have always tried to focus more on, so I can receive this business character from my dad and learn so much from him. But I also don't want to be absent. Not saying that he was absent. I just want to be more present, and that's just the truth of it. And to be honest with you, I've noticed here lately, just within the last few months, that I've been slipping up on it, and I'm just too distracted and too stressed, and I've got too much going on, and feel like I'm not giving my family as much attention as they deserve, and as much as I'd like to give them, just because I'm too distracted with everything that's going on in life, just occupationally. And so it's a blessing and a curse at the same time when it comes to being a business owner or businesses, owning several businesses. It takes you away from your family. That's ultimately what you have to sacrifice, honestly.
Yeah. So if that's what you want, what are a couple things you're working towards to make that happen?
Eh, when it comes to, construction, that's my industry, my line of work. It's maybe trying to take on less demanding projects that aren't so distracting and aren't so stressful, that overtake my my brain and everything. And when you have employees, that adds another dynamic to it too. And so, that can also be distracting as well. But it's I go back and forth. I'm a little what's the word I'm looking for? I go back and forth with it, and we'll spend time actually focusing on family. But who knows how long that's going to last before I disconnect and go into business mode. And while it's important to be in business mode so you can accomplish things, it's also important to disconnect and find ways to make sure that you're having your family time and spending time with your family, because that's what your family's going to remember when you get older too, or as they grow up as well. And because that's one thing that stuck with me as well. Like I said, it's nothing against dad. He's doing, he was achieving and building a better life for his family. It just requires you not being around as much. And there's only so much you can do about it without not achieving your goals, if that makes any sense.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I like that. Good answers. Good answers. Okay.
Yeah. Yep. You ready for your last one?
I'm ready.
All right. Here's a good one for you. If your younger self saw you today, what would he roast you for?
What would what would you roast me for? Let's see. It's funny because I thought I knew where you were going with this. It's like, oh, I've been asked this question before until you said the roasting part, and I was like, okay, okay, no, this is different, different take.
Are you the person you imagined yourself being when you were a kid?
Uh, honestly, I feel like I'm I think so. I mean, I can't. That's because I've wrestled with this before, and it's always like I kind of feel like I don't know, maybe better than I would imagined, but I didn't really think much of anything when I was a kid, I don't think. I never thought that I would amount to anything, but at the same time, I never actually thought bad about myself. I just never really thought too much about what
Yeah.
future me would be. The only thing I really thought of is like, I guess I thought I would be like a traveling musician and making money doing music, which I'm not doing. But I don't know if I would roast myself
There's
for it.
one roast right there. Like, what
You think I'd
are you
roast? You
that
think I'd
bad? You can't even travel and sing?
you
Okay.
did. uh, not really the roasting type. I don't think my young self would roast me, but yeah, I guess that's something he would question at least. He'd be like, "So why aren't you like playing music all the time now?" And I'd have to say like, "Hey, well, I just started getting back into it, so hopefully we can start doing some more playing." Because yeah, that's definitely something that kind of went to the wayside. I don't think of anything else. I definitely wouldn't have thought I'd be doing what I do now when it comes to learning and development and training and teaching. But I actually think that I would probably think that's pretty cool. Like, okay, well, that's pretty cool. If being my younger self saying that, because I would have never thought I would have went into that field um, at all.
There you go. That's a better take. So you're doing more than what your younger self would have imagined you doing.
Yeah, more or different. Because yeah, when I was younger, I just thought I didn't. Like I said, I didn't think too much about my future. I was more thinking about like enjoying the time with people and hanging out and yeah, the only thing I really wanted was to be entertainer of some type, I guess. Music or acting is something I wanted to do before music when I was a kid. So, but it's funny because even training and development, facilitating and teaching people is almost kind of a form of that as well. It's just a different take. And ultimately, I guess not necessarily more impactful because I know music resonates with people and is extremely impactful. But it's different. It's like giving people life skills and stuff, which I think's I don't know a win. I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, I totally
So
agree.
yeah. So I guess the small roast to be like, Ricky, why aren't you touring and stuff? I played so long and you're not doing it. Why aren't you doing it?
Put all this effort in for no reason.
I still practice though. I have never stopped practicing. So
And you still record from time to time too, don't
I
you?
do.
I know
I
you got
do.
some decent music out there. I've
Well, I
heard it a
appreciate
few
that.
times.
Well, I appreciate that.
Of course.
Sweet. Okay. Well, that was it. That wasn't so bad, right?
No, I wasn't nervous
No.
at all.
You didn't strike me as were you a little nervous?
No, I wasn't.
I didn't think so. You didn't give me nervous vibes, but some people get nervous and it's each their own, right? It totally makes sense.
It is. It's. I can understand why I'd be nervous. It's almost like it's like a pseudo form of public speaking, right? And also get put on the spot, answering questions, and even if you're not in the hot seat and just doing regular episodes, it's
Mhm.
opening up. I can understand why I'd give somebody the jitters, make you nervous.
I mean, I get it. I get it.
You get to see
Sweet.
it all the time,
I
right?
do. I do. Dude, I remember the first couple podcasts I recorded, I was nervous. I was nervous on my end, and it's just something you get real comfortable with and you don't think anything of it now.
Yeah, yeah. Having
So,
to
because
listen to your voice and record yourself. I'm sure in the beginning it's got to be kind of weird.
yeah, it actually wasn't so bad. That's because of the music, because I always did, singing and stuff like that. So at
Yeah.
a young age, I experienced that at a young age where I was like, that's what I sound like. Yeah, that's pretty normal. So yeah, hearing myself on a recording, I don't even think twice now. It's like, yeah, that's what I sound like. So it is what it is.
So bonus question,
Yeah.
after you heard yourself on a microphone, did you change the way that you talked because you didn't like how you sounded in the microphone?
Let's see. No, but I realized I didn't because when we hear ourselves in our head, I think we have like an extra like bassy tone that we don't have when we're actually talking
Uh,
out loud. And like, so I remember the first time I listened to myself sing, I was like, dang, I thought I sounded way, way better than that. And be like, dang, I got to work on that. So I remember, and dude, that was like on an old cassette tape. I had a little cassette recorder. I mean, that's how old school, how
yeah,
long ago that
I
was with
remember those
me
days.
practicing. Yeah.
dating yourself now, but
Exactly. Like hit record, and I just start singing into it, which that wasn't good quality, anyways. But still, I was like, okay, I gotta work on that. So I guess it was humbling, put it that way.
it reminds me of like what our inner voice is, when you're talking to yourself in your brain and who that, because it kind of do you think it has a sound? Like, because you're talking to yourself in your brain the way that you think that you sound, and then you hear yourself on a video or a microphone or something like that, and you're just like, whoa, that's not the same.
Yeah, I don't see. I haven't really thought about that too much. So, which is interesting
Like when you're
because I
reading a book, what
oh
what's the voice that's talking while you're reading all the words? I mean, it sounds weird, but when you actually pay attention to it, there's actually like this inner monologue voice that's happening in your head.
well, it depends what book I'm reading. Like,
Oh,
because I started reading like some of Jordan Peterson's book, and I literally read it as in his voice.
okay. Well, that's a new
Like,
take.
literally,
Yeah,
is that not what everybody does? Like,
that's
if I
how
know
I
someone who
do.
wrote,
No, I guess
oh, really?
when you when you read the quotations, and it's like some southern accent lady, I'd say I'd probably do that. So that does make sense. I'd probably try to read it in a southern accent or something like that. Or
Yeah, yeah. Because I usually do audiobooks, but if I do read I think I remember reading, I think I always like, depending on what it is, if it's fiction, I would almost read it in a voice of what like they explain. Like if
uh,
it's a kid talking, I imagine like a kid voice as I'm reading. Like, so yeah, I don't know. I guess I never thought about reading it in my voice though.
I read too many nonfiction educational books, I think is what it sounds
Oh well,
like.
that's fair. If you don't know the author, then you can't use that
Yeah,
as
right.
reference.
I gotta sound like the author.
Because yeah, I did that. I did that with a couple other books too. Obstacle is the Way. I was reading that whole book in Ryan Holiday's voice. Like just lots of different books I read. Like if I've heard them talk before, that's how I'm reading it. It's
There you
interesting.
go. There you
Never thought
go.
about that.
Now you got to sing like Ryan Holiday.
Does he sing?
I don't know.
I, I don't know. Okay, so to close this out, so this is something I've been doing lately. Is I'll let the guests kind of close out on a fun term. So like, so what's something you want to leave the audience with today? So it could be advice, could be whatever you want.
Well, man, I don't know. Is that what everybody says?
Actually,
Uh,
the funny thing is people usually have something right off the top of their head. I've noticed, which surprises me every time because I say that and I don't ever end up the questions, and they're like, "Well, I would just say," and I'm always like, "Oh, okay, okay, yeah, go for it."
Man, no, I really honestly don't know what to leave the audience with. Last time we got to leave the audience with what was it, a question for the next
Mhm.
guest on the podcast?
Yeah,
That made
yeah.
that easy. Now I got to come up with my own thing. Man, I guess what I'm going to say is just, create a goal and go follow it. Figure out who you are. Quit pretending that you're somebody that you're not, and go make it happen. Quit settling. That's it.
Okay, quit settling. Okay, I dig it. Okay, well, Nate, thank you so much for hopping on again. It was nice to have you on, and yeah, we'll leave
Absolutely.
the audience with those wise words.
Absolutely. Good
Okay,
talking with you.
awesome. Okay, I'll see you later.
See ya.